Okay. All right. Testing. It should be working. Amazing. Copy that. Send that to everyone now. I feel like I should have some background music. Woo! Our song works. Okay, amazing. All right, let me send that link to every human being I know. Copy. All right, should be able to hear me now, I think. Right. Let's see if we can get the party back on the road. I'm just putting another story out saying that I had microphone issues on the previous live. So starting again. Okay, nice. I think I prefer the UI on the web rather than on the phone actually for Instagram stories. It just looks, I don't know, it just looks a bit better. All right, nice. Publish. Do you need some music? No, I'm good. Okay, all right. Now that we're back on track, I think so. It looks like on the YouTube screen thing, I can see that it shows a little green thing saying that I think you can hear me. So let's not waste any more time. Back on track. All right, so you should be able to see my Claude screen now. So okay, so where was I earlier? Nice, it's working again. Amazing. So yeah, I was creating the product requirement documentation. So it just contains like user stories, contains actually let me bring up the actual definition for it. So it just contains all the goals and stuff, all the strategies, user stories, the design introduction. But like regarding the design, I'm going to be using a separate kind of design guideline just because in that, which I'll show you later on, or literally like right now in a bit, just so that if I use that, then essentially that means that Claude will just follow that design rather than making up its own colors and systems and everything. Really, it just makes it looks a bit nicer when it comes to UI, especially when it comes to like UI elements. Like, let's say creating a button or creating one of those elements where you pick a date and everything. You want it to be consistent, so this allows for that. Okay, so what have we done so far? So far, I've created a Claude MD file, obviously beforehand, that contains kind of basic instructions on how to interact with Claude and how I want it to interact with me, really. So when I ask it to do certain things, I basically structuring how I want it to respond. Essentially, like ask me questions, don't make any assumptions, and so on. It's just so that it just cuts down time in me trying to clarify things with it. And the design system, which I will get to it in a bit. The PRD, obviously, we just created that right now. So it should be in our folder. Let me check just to be sure. So yeah, this is the Claude file. Yeah, there we go. It created, yeah, the PRD. And it looks like it's got everything in there. I'm not going to look at it too closely just because the whole point of the exercise is for Claude to just create all of this for me by giving it kind of minimal instructions, really. So yeah, the problem's done, and then goals is what I'm going to be using later on in order to create these apps. How the goals works is that you essentially set up a goal, which is basically the PRD, the requirements, and then Claude will just keep going on and on and on, reiterating over the app over and over again until it gets it right, until it meets the exact requirements. It does a bit of review process, so which I can potentially show here. Yeah, so this is the Anthropic website. And this is exactly how it works. Where you just you develop a test case. You give it some goals, and then it goes through an evaluation period over and over again, and then make sure it tests it just to make sure it's fine, and then it tells you it succeeded. It just saves me from interacting with it all the time. Okay, so next up, let's create our design system. So what I'm going to be doing here is that this is design MD space. So I'm going to be using this to kind of create a website or create the design, really. So I'm just going to choose some random schemes. Which one do I like? I like blue. Let's go with blue. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think blue just looks nice. Yes, great. Let's go for blue. So I'm going to copy the link and then give it to Claude in order to essentially set that up. For the design guideline, use this. This is kind of like everything that's already done for you, really. This picks out all the colors and all the UI elements on how it wants it to look in terms of all letterings, spacing, the cards. It just saves a lot of time. So if I go back to Claude, then yeah, just allow it to carry on. I'm going to change this to auto so that it doesn't ask me for permissions all the time. It only asks me when it thinks that it's doing something risky. So yeah, I think while it's doing this, let's look at the different models. So, and then see what the difference is really. So, I mean, if you look at Fable 5, so a bit of backstory for this. What's happened was that the Fable 5 got released back in June, and then it got removed, and then it got re-released again. So it got removed because the U.S. government essentially, it wasn't the government; it was some other company. I forgot the name of. They did some testing on Fable 5, and Fable 5 it has some kind of restricted parameters to it, so that you can't do too much on it. Obviously, it's a good model, but they put some security parameters around it really. And then when I was doing some testing, they found out that the parameters they put in, by doing certain things, by doing some prompt engineering, you can kind of hijack it, and you kind of hack through into the back end essentially, and then you can do way much more. Um, in Fable 5, it's essentially a cut down version of Mythos 5. So Mythos is that Claude's created for essentially the US defense, really. And obviously, it's a bigger model. And then Fable 5 is just like a cut down version of it, with bit more security parameters, so you can't do too much on it. Obviously, it's a really good, capable model. It's the best one in terms of AI models there are right now. But yeah, so that's the reason why the US government took it down, because of because of security measures. You can go around all the security that they put in. And then obviously after they fixed it, they brought it back, and it's going to be free to use. Well, not free to use, but for like pro members and stuff, it's going to be available to use until the 7th. So you essentially have 2 more days to use it before they take it not offline, but they're going to put it behind some credits, which means you have to pay to use it. And then afterwards, I believe the plan is after a while they're going to be bringing it back to be used for pro models. Really, I mean, if you're on the free version, you're not going to be able to use it. Sadly. It's probably because they don't want everyone kind of hacking it constantly all the time. So yeah, let me check back on Claude tool. Yep, it looks like it has created it. Okay, it looks like it just updated the prod, the PRD file with all of it really. All right, amazing. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new session. Oh, it's going to ask me some questions. I'm going to say stop. I've noticed it does this where it just waits for you to respond kind of live in the background. I just don't want that. So let's create a new session. Let's call this Fable 5. So what I wanted to do is that in here, in the project file, in Fable 5. So this is where we're going to set up the tests, essentially. So what I'm asking to do is that to use the PRD file as the goal. So essentially goals, and then yeah, that's it really. Change the model to Fable 5. I think high is fine. Maybe I can put an extra, just give it some extra power. And then, yeah, let's have it running. All right, this should be fun. Okay, so what it's doing now is that it is creating the app just using Fable. And then I'm going to have another session. And this is going to use the Opus model. I'll put it on high as well. Actually, I'll put it on extra. Yeah, there we go. Okay, all right. Let's see how it goes. Um, okay, all right, amazing. It's okay. We got both sessions going now. Can I minimize this? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So on the left, we got Opus. Nope, we got Opus on both sides. There we go. On the left, we got Fable starting off, and on the right, we got Opus. They're both on auto, so it should just do things, and there shouldn't be any issues. So it looks like right now Opus is looking at the context. Um, yeah, so it's trying to read the PRD file. There we go. It's understood the context now, and it looks like it looks like Fable's gonna understood that quite early on, and then yeah, sending it off to the races. There we go. I think so. One of the differences between Fable and Opus is that with Opus, it just like every time it does something, I think it gives you like a big paragraph on what it's doing, obviously, which is great. Maybe if you're a beginner, maybe if you're trying to obviously understand what's going on. But I think one of the issues is that obviously it's just gonna slow it down more really. And ultimately, sometimes I feel like when you trust these things enough, you just want to give it something and then like literally go off. It's like an employee really, just go off and do your thing and then come back. Um, okay, so while it's doing that, let's go over the differences, or carry on going over the differences between the two models. So in terms of one of the biggest ones, I would say is the first shot correctness on complex stuff. So essentially, that means that it just when you try to give it like a big complex tasks, it just has more chance of getting it right the first time around compared to the previous model. Um, it does a lot of like reviews and debugging. So outside of cybersecurity, it's in terms of how many bugs it's finding, it looks like it's noticeably higher than Opus 4.8, which is really good. Navigate ambiguity. So Claude Fable 5 performs well when given complex multi-threaded requests and asked to determine next steps. So I guess it's not even if you're a bit ambiguous with your instructions, it looks like it does perform quite well. And the delegation collaboration. So Claude Fable 5 is significantly more dependable as dispatching and sustaining parallel subagents and reliably manages ongoing communication with long-running subagents and peer agents. I think what that just means that so essentially it's just going to deploy a lot of agents in the background in order to complete the task that you gave it, and then it just good at delegating and then managing it essentially. So if you go back to it, let's see how it goes. Let me just make this divide a bit more. There you go. Yep, just carrying on. So far, in terms of token usage, it looks like Opus is kind of getting ahead the amount of tokens it's using. And with Fable, at this point, it's not using as much, really. So it looks like it has a lower token usage to get things done. What's it doing? So right now, Opus obviously has created a plan on what to do. So it just ran to look through the requirements and now it's now it's starting to build the app. And it looks like with Fable, it's already the shell's already in place, and now it's finishing Genesis design. But yeah, it's with the less token usage, it looks like Fable is already ahead of what it's doing, which is incredible. Okay, all right. So what is front? Well, let's go through more of what it can do. So long returns by default. So I believe what this means is that when you are running a task, it can run for longer without stopping or without just asking for permissions and so on. Really, it's just more autonomous, so you can give it. It just means that you can give it a bit more of a wider task, and then it's just able of doing that. So obviously, if it's been more, like I said earlier, if it's more complex or if it's just more, if it's just going to take longer, then it'll just keep going until it's done, um, or it'll keep going longer compared to the previous models. Um, this one is about considering all the effort levels. So, in terms of effort, it looks like the Claude High effort level, which basically is what you can see, here. It looks like it works better than Opus 4.8's kind of extra, or maybe even extra high levels or extra level really. So it just maybe one or a couple of steps higher. Make sense? Um, Strong instruction following. So instruction following is improved enough that you can steer most behaviors with brief instructions rather than enumerating each behavior by name. For example, when unsteered, Claude Fable 5 can elaborate beyond what the task needs, especially at higher effort settings. And surveying options, they won't pursue, explaining root cause at length, producing heavily structured PR definitions, and writing comments that narrate what the next line does. Not sure entirely what that means, really. I think I think just better at following instructions. From what it sounds like, sounds good. Uh, let's check back on both the models, see what it's doing. So it's created a scaffold. Yeah, it's started creating the app, and then now it's like working on the code side of it. So it's using JavaScript. It's using an index DB wrapper, which makes sense. And NoSQL. Okay, yeah. So this is one of the things we defined in the parameters in the requirements to use a NoSQL database, which means that every user just has its own kind of document, really, rather than using a spreadsheet kind of database, which would be more like a relational database. Yeah, let's go to the UI bit. And so as Fable, that's a good sign. I think it still looks like Fable's using obviously a tiny bit less tokens. Obviously, it's been running for longer, but it's using less tokens compared to Opus, which is a good sign. Yeah, it's doing much better. And even if just looking at like visually, you can see that in terms of instructions, like what it's doing with Opus, obviously it does spray out a lot of text on exactly what it's doing, and which is obviously is great for certain users. Maybe it's one of those things where you just want to look like it's doing things rather than just doing something in the background. But I guess I think at this point, you sometimes just have trust in the AI to just carry on going. Really, if you compare it to Fable, it literally has given it 5 lines compared to Opus. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave it running in the background. Let's see what other benefits it has. So ground progress claims during long runs. So on long autonomous runs, instruct Claude Fable 5 to audit progress against actual tool results. Anthropic testing, this nearly eliminated fabricated status reports, even on tasks designed to elicit them. I think so. What this means is that there's some issues with the AI. You can sometimes find it with like ChatGPT kind of thing, where let's say if you ask it to do something, if you you provide a spreadsheet or something, it'll tell you it's read through it when it kind of hasn't. But it looks like it's kind of Antrop's kind of built in this kind of system so that Fable doesn't do that really. It actually reads through it, or it figures out why, um, or it actually verifies it, which is really cool. Stating the boundaries, so Claude Fable 5 can occasionally take unrequested actions, draft an email when no one's asked for. Other things, yeah, I've noticed there's been an issue in the previous models. Really. Essentially, let's say you ask a question for the model, and then it obviously answers the question, and then it just carries on to take the action from what you've said. I just make some assumptions, but it looks like with Fable, they've kind of restricted it, so it doesn't just carry on. It waits for you to actually give it some actions, which I think is a really good thing, really, because sometimes you just don't want to. You just don't want the AI to just do its own things really without you telling to do. You still want it to follow your instructions, your guidelines. Parallel subagents. So Core Fable 5 dispatches parallel subagents more readily than prior models. Interesting. From what it sounds like, it looks like it just uses more subagents really, and it's better at orchestrating it. Good sign. It means that obviously it should be faster at doing things, and should be more efficient. Constructing a memory system. So Fable 5 performs it particularly well and when it records lessons from previous runs and references them. So one of the things that Anthropic introduced recently when it comes to Claude is that a memory system where you, let's say you interact with it, you have conversation with it, and with most AIs it just contains within that chat. But with the memory system, I don't know, maybe once a day or periodically, it just goes through the chat and it remembers what you spoke about, and it just summarizes them so that next time if you bring up the same topic again or the same area again, it knows what you spoke about last time in that area, so you can just carry on. And which obviously is really good. All right, before we go through, let me just go through both Fable and Opus. It looks like it's carrying really well. It's adding get session to the store. So session is essentially it's you have local storage when it comes to your apps, your web apps, so websites and stuff, and then your session gets put in there. And the session controls, it is authentication really. I requested it not to have it, so I'm not sure why Opus is trying it. But Fable, what's it doing? I think Fable's kind of getting ready now, really, in order to essentially just deploy the app. Interesting. There we go. Okay. I have on the requirements. I've asked it to be more mobile friendly or mobile first, really. So it should be a very responsive UI. Oh, yeah, look at that. All code is written, generating the PNG icon. Okay, nice. It's doing fairly well. Even in terms of token, okay, I think it looks like Fable's caught up now with Opus. Obviously, it started Fable first, which is why it's been running for longer. But it looks like it's reached its conclusion goal early on, and I was restarting. Okay, so this is where the whole goal side of it and then the whole review side of it that they built in comes into place. When obviously right now we've established some requirements, and now it's like the restarting, and it just essentially Claude is now just testing it over and over again, just to make sure it works, make sure any bugs sorted out. So okay, perfect. All right, we'll just let that happen. All right, what else is new? So rare case of early stopping. So deep into long sessions, Claude Fable 5 can occasionally end a turn the text-only statement of intent. I will run now without issuing the corresponding tool call. I have noticed this before, where when you do make a call with the older models with the AI, it just says it's going to do something and then it just doesn't do anything really. But it looks like they fixed it, so it's going to use the tool. It's going to carry on, or it's going to ask permission as needed. It seems like it was a bit of a bug, but yeah, got on nice. Rare case of context budget concerns. So in a very long session, Claude Fable 5 can occasionally suggest a new session, offer to summarize and hand off or trim its own. The most is most often triggered when a harness shows the remaining token countdown to the model. Okay, so obviously, as more and more people are using Claude, and even if you, depending on which plans you paid for, you're going to be running out of tokens all the time, really, especially considering like how often do you use it. So it looks like they put in some kind of context-aware budgeting in it, where it's going to ask for a request you start a new session, and then carry on in that session. So basically, it's going to essentially maybe summarize it, yeah, and then summarize and hand off to the new session, and then you can carry on from there, which means you'll keep your context window low. I think one of the kind of AI hygienic things you can do is that every time you do something new, you start a new session, really, and then just keep an eye on your context window. Make sure it doesn't get too bloated, because sometimes when people just might have just one session and they just carry on talking that session. Okay, interesting. I think the apps are getting ready now. All right, let's go back to it. Let's see how. Okay, I think yeah, we might be almost done with this. Start an empty workout. Nice. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I think it's definitely following the design guideline that I gave it. It does look a bit basic, but it might be just because it's a guideline I gave. Oh, look at that. It's added some few workers on there. So right now, what Fable's doing now is essentially testing the app and making sure it does meet the requirement. And if it doesn't, if there's anything missing, then you can go back and check on it, which I think is really cool. Amazing. Okay, I'm just going to let it carry on doing testing in the background. And then when it's done, I'm sure you'll probably let me know. Well, thanks. So given the reason, give the reason, not the request. So Claude Fable 5 tend to perform better when it understands the intent behind the request. The context let it connect the task to relevant information rather than inferring intent on its own. This is a really good thing. This is also something I've put into my Claude MD5 really into, like don't assume. If you don't know something, just ask. And it looks like Claude works better, or the new model works better if the intent is behind it. So that I presume that goes part of its goals really. So you can probably use the intent as the goal, and then figure out the right path to get to it, rather than assuming. Let's say if you ask to do something, instead of making assumptions on why, like what's the reason behind you needing this thing, and then using that assumption in order to find the path that you think is right. But when it comes back to you, turns out it's completely wrong, and then you get frustrated. It's really good. Communicating with the user. So in extended or agentic conversations, many tool calls a large working context, which basically what we're doing right now. Fable 5 can produce produce text that's hard to follow, dense arrows, chain, shorthand, deep implementation detail, and references to thinking user never saw. So this is essentially what's happening right now. Oh, I'll just slid to the left. Nice. So I think, yes, showing what the old model does is really. So, it looks like we're getting close to the usage limit. We're not. Interesting. Yeah, so I think what it's referring to is basically what Opus is doing right now. It just gives you all of these things that it's doing that the user, which me right now, just doesn't care about. I'm not going to read through all of this. Let's say if I'm in a hurry, I wouldn't be reading through this. Like it looks like every single problem it's finding is kind of tackling it. So the dumbbell shapes are overcomplicated. Let me read what the icon will be. Do I really need to know that? I would just expect it to just be done in the background, really. But no, it's pretty good. I wonder. Obviously, I did have like a node window pop up earlier. I do wonder if the models will be using different tools in order to create the apps. One of them is using Node, and it looks like Um, Opus is using Node.js. I'm not too sure about Fable. Find out later on potentially. Interesting. Look at it. It's running through all the tests. It's adding things in and looking at the graphs and like I'm very impressed by it actually. It's yeah, it's nice, pretty good. All right. What else? Creating send to user tool when running long asynchronous agents, basically background agents. Give the agent a way to serve the message. The user must see exactly as written. Okay, that's very good. I think this might be something that we might have to implement separately. Add this tool whenever your UX depends on delivering content or directly with user interactions. Okay, so I feel like we might have to. It might be something to add it in if we need and background agent. So background agent could be, let's say you set up a scheduled task to be run in the background, maybe like a daily one or like a weekly one, and you wanted the task to communicate something with you. I guess you set up something like this. Interesting. I'm not going to implement that right now, but I think when it comes down to it, it comes to if I need it, because I don't think I have any task right now that would require this. So I probably will leave it. Um, okay, sounds good. And then right now, yeah, it's got some recommendations. So start at the top of your difficulty range, pick a task harder than what you assigned to prior model, and have Claude Fable 5 scope it. Nice. And ask clarifying questions and then execute. Nice. Obviously, right now we gave it the same kind of scope in terms of difficulty um, for both the models so that we can see the difference. But yeah, let's. I need to check up on what's going on. However, make self-verification explicit in long runs prompts. So separate fresh contact verifier sub-agents tend to outperform self-critique. Okay. Refactor existing prompt skills. The skills developed prior models are often too prescriptive for Claude Fable 5. I do use a framework in order to create my skills, but I think for Fable, I probably will ask Fable to go through all my existing skills and then essentially figure out, rewrite them in a better way, so that for better performance, which sounds good. Don't instruct Claude to reproduce its reasoning in the response. So prompts, skills, and harness instructions that tells model where code transcript explains for internal reasoning as a response trigger can trigger the reasoning extraction refusal category. Okay, not entirely sure what that means. Claude Fable 5 causing elevated fallbacks to Opus. Okay. And then, yeah, create a send to user tool, which, I'll do at some point. Right. Let's check back on the task really. So, how are we doing? Oh, I am basically near my 5 hour limit. That is interesting. So, it has basically used all my tokens in the 5 hour limit. I haven't, so before this, I haven't done so much in order to, I probably used maybe like, I don't know, 5, maybe 10% of it, but it looks like it's running both agents. I guess I would expect it, but yeah, it's used a lot. I wonder, it doesn't seem to say at the end anywhere how many tokens are used. That would be good. So we're at 40,000 tokens now. I think that's going to eat up the rest of my things. So I don't think I have enough so that this covers really. I did put maybe like a $5 thing earlier, so it might go into a paid bit, but we'll see how it goes. Hang on. Okay. I think, yeah, it looks like it's done. So looks like it's running on 5.5. So yeah, let's check it out. Localhost 5.0. This is the app. I did say for it to be mobile first, but it looks like it's mobile only, which I probably wouldn't say I'm happy about. I think I would want it to be more adaptive. So even if it's in a bit more of a horizontal screen, it should still adapt to it really. But let's test it out. So I'm gonna click through the button below, see if there's anything already there. Nope. History, progress, library. Nice. This is all the different workouts. Nice. Down settings. You can choose between kilogram, pounds, different models you want. I like it. I think I'm gonna keep it light. I know some people prefer dark mode. I think I prefer light mode to dark mode. Call me whatever you want. Duration, nice. So, okay, you can increment between 15 seconds and minus 15 seconds. Doesn't look like it allows you to change it. So, yes, for the best timer, I guess. I presume. Obviously, I haven't tested it, but I presume how it's going to work is that if I choose a workout, maybe set some sets and some reps, and once it's complete, once I've done that set, uh, and I recorded it, presumably it will automatically start the timer. It seems to be 15 minutes. You know what? I don't mind this too much, to be honest with you. 15 minutes increments, or 15 seconds increments. Um, I think this probably is better than just selecting or scrolling through and selecting each time. So you know what? I'll probably would give it credit, but there's not something I would assume that the user would want because they probably wouldn't be used to it. Sound, that's interesting. Because add a sound. I don't know where it would have gotten the sound from. Obviously, I haven't given it anything, so that's interesting. Notification when the best ends. Fair enough. Even with that, oh nice. Okay, you can allow it to. Okay, that's good. Estimated uh, one RM formula. Again, even with this, I mean, it's not something I requested, and I do really like it, but it would be good to have something in here that describes what this formula does, what it means really, in more of a human friendly way. And then yeah, you can export your data and stuff. You know what? I'm liking this so far. So okay, let's create a workout. So I'll pretend I'm at the gym and I'm going for a workout. So I'm at the gym, I'm at the machine. Let's do I don't know, I'm at a random machine. Let's add an exercise. What do you want to do today? A Russian twist. No idea what that is. It looks like it's a twist. Or it's a Russian with a twist. I'm just gonna do a barbell roll. Um, kilograms. Oh, it looks like you had to type it in. Okay. Reps 10. You know what? It's fair enough. I don't know what I would expect from this UI, but I think I would want it to be a bit more user friendly. I feel like typing it in. Because obviously, if you imagine this on your phone, when you click on it, it's going to bring up this keypad and you type it in. But like if there's like a plus minus thing, I feel like it would be a tiny bit better. Normally, they have the fairly standard increments. 10 reps. I don't know what that means. RPE. No idea what that means. Doesn't let me. I don't know what that means. I'll put like 10 down. I have no idea what that means. First set and then click on done. Now look at that. It's going to run for. You know what? I don't want it to obviously go for that long. Let's see what happens. I wonder if the sound will come on. I quite like this. So yeah, no, it plays the sound. Nice. I'm not sure if you can hear this through the live stream, but it plays the sound. I like it. Okay. Um, Yeah, I guess you can add another set. It's going to do that. I'm going to skip it. Add another exercise. Let's do a plank. Kilogram, obviously, it needs to be a bit more context aware. You can set up some default. That's good. Okay, I still have no idea what RPE 10 means. By the way, I think so. On the settings page, it looks like RPE. I feel like I should know what that means. Let me just search for it. See what comes out. Right. Perceived excursion. Nice. Okay, so you're putting in how hard it is. That's not something I would have thought of. Even with these things, I think there should be like small eyes next to it, saying that maybe it tells you what it means. Because obviously not everyone's going to know. Which clearly I didn't know. No, I like it. Yeah, but there's no scale either. So let's say we put in like I don't know 1,000 or 100, and then put I don't know 10 for the next one. What does that mean? But it's a good thing that you can keep track of it. Nice. Planks, obviously, it's not context aware. It got this list of exercises from somewhere, from the internet, but it's not context aware. So you're not doing planks with some weights on you, are you? Um, that's also something. Obviously, I'm not going to make these changes, but yeah. So look at the history. Okay, let's click on finish workout. Save as template. Okay, evening workout finish. Nice. So we've got history. Yeah, it's going to show me the evening workout. And then, okay, nice. Okay, so it looks like once you do some kind of a workout or some kind of a session, it's gonna you can set it so it remembers that. So the next time around, if you want to follow the exact same routine again, you can, which is good. And the history, you can see it. Progress chart. Not sure what this means, but this probably is. If I do this again, and this time maybe increase the weights, finish workout, finish it, which means so I have two workouts, which means in the progress I should have something. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I like it. Nice for the barbell row. It's not showing it for the. Oh, interesting. Though I did it for the plank. Maybe I didn't. Library preset access can't be edited. Okay. I would set something up so you can edit these preset exercises. These are weird. I like the little pills next to it that tells you what kind of exercise or what to use for it. If you're going to use a barbell, kettlebell. You know what? I like it. It's really good. Settings. Yeah, nice. I think it's done a decent job. I don't think it took too long, although my token was about to run out. Um, let's see how it's going with this. Okay, I think it looks like, yeah, I've hit my limit. So I can't carry on with the Opus one. Out of credits. I think what I'll do is I'll resume again later on. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me, really. So, yeah, I mean, to summarize, obviously, Fable finished it obviously much earlier than Opus. I need to figure out how many tokens it used in that meantime compared to Opus. It doesn't tell you at the end. It doesn't really tell you anywhere, to be honest, really. And that would be really good. I wonder. No, I don't think you can find out. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's it really. I hope you guys have a good time. There's two people. I have no idea who is watching, if I'm completely honest. But uh, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Okay, bye.